The Ark of God captured. This is the event that God told Samuel that when people hear about this, they'll shudder. This is the first of two stories that will deal with this event. A little bit of what's happening here. Samuel has already started his nationwide ministry. People all across the nation have heard about his walk with God, and he's still living at Shiloh. Eli is still there, the Ark of God is still there, and that is his home base for now. But even that will change. He's not yet called a judge. That will come about 20 years later. There are other judges in the land at this time, but they still look to him. Well, when you deal with this war, 30,000 men dead, this shows you what happened when new technology goes into battle. The Philistines had the latest technology of weapons. The Israelites were still fighting the old-fashioned way, using sharp farm tools, where the Philistines had iron swords, iron spear, iron shields, and they could just devastate the opposite army. It says 30,000 men were dead. Well, that word thousand is an old Hebrew word which could also be interpreted divisions. Well, whether 30,000 or 30 divisions, it's still a lot of people dead. Well, the Ark of God is captured. Just real quick to remind you about this ark. This is a wooden box that's overlaid with gold on the inside and out. It's about 3 to 4 feet long, 2 1/4 feet high and wide. It has 4 rings, one at each of the corners, so that a pole that's also overlaid with gold can go through those rings, and they can carry the ark without anyone touching it except for the priest. On top were 2 winged cherubims. Now, what was the Ark of God? It wasn't an idol. God didn't actually live there. It represented a footstool of God's throne. It was a link between the people of Israel and the throne of God. Now, it wasn't wrong to take it into battle. David did that. Joshua did it. It wasn't wrong. It was just the fact that they were taking it for granted. It was a good luck charm. They had already departed from the God that this ark represented. No, God would not stand for that. Besides, he was using this time to shake the people up. They'd always had what they thought was God's presence among them. They could do what they wanted to. They could serve whatever idol, because after all, God wouldn't leave them. Oh, he's shaking them up. Said, no, you can't take me for granted. Besides, when they heard what happened to the cities of the land of the Philistines, when the Ark of God came to each city, they were, oh wow, that's in the next story. But also when the Ark of God came back and what it did in Israel, even then, it brought about revival. The Philistines controlled so much of Israel. To look at it, they controlled in the north the Jezreel Valley, which is a very fertile area, but it also is where they had iron ore mines. And they also controlled the hill country along the coast. And they controlled all of the Negev Desert, which is where the copper mines were. Israel was mainly in the mountains right up through the middle. Well, in this story, it talks about him putting dust on top of their heads. Well, you see this practice all through the Old Testament and into the New Testament. What was that? That was a way of mourning, To put dust on a person's head was to identify the living with the dead. You can see how dust on top of the living represented the dirt that was on top of the dead. And this was just a way to identify. Well, come back when we give you story insights on the rest of this story.